all that bullshit. I be seeing you, Jimmy, talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King was going up. Jimmy like, Marita Moneda. And Coca-Cola.
You want with 50 Cent. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like Jim.
Nah, I don't want to do nothing with that sucker. You heard? Leave him out of the conversation.
Jim Jones. Who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family.
When Jay did the remix, it was the biggest alley-oop he could do for me. I understood a lot about music, and at that time, people were looking at the wrong way, and I was looking at the... If I told you I was in the Rock Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you?
So picture this. Jim Jones is sitting on a podcast, maybe feeling himself a little too much, and out of nowhere, he drops the bomb. He's more influential than Nas. Not only that, he claims that he's the reason Nas recently went viral again. Now, to the untrained ear, that might just sound like confidence, but to hip-hop heads, that was blasphemy. You could practically hear the record scratch from Queensbridge to Harlem. Nas isn't just any rapper. He's a living legend, a lyrical scholar, and one of the most respected names in the entire game. And who decides to take shots at that legacy? Jim Jones. The audacity, the delusion, and most of all, the timing. It was like he was begging to be humbled.
For Nas, probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever.
Certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones?
Enter 50 Cent. A man who doesn't tolerate fake bravado or misplaced arrogance. Now listen, 50 has his own complicated past with both Nas and Jay-Z. But there's one thing he's always been about, and that's respecting the culture. So when Jim tried to clown Nas for clout, 50 took it personally. Not only did he call Jim out, he laid down the kind of verbal smackdown that only 50 could deliver. But he didn't just clap back with words. He came with video evidence, archived interviews, and stone-cold facts. And y'all already know, when 50 goes on a roasting spree, he doesn't stop at the surface. He peels the paint off your whole reputation.
Way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
You said that.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit of run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people.
But lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you
with
dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in.
I can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, y'all know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas. You're not seeing Nas, bro. Let's be real.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you.
Hey,
I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now. Right now, I will run Saturn around Nas right now rapping. Everybody knows that.
See, Jim Jones isn't new to controversy. He's built part of his brand on being loud, brash, and unapologetically Harlem. But what 50 exposed was something deeper. A pattern of disloyalty, of switching sides when convenient, of dissing for attention and then begging for acceptance when the heat cools off. It's not just that Jim disrespected Nas, it's how and why he did it. Not out of genuine opinion, but because he wanted a viral moment. And in trying to belittle a legend, he ended up highlighting his own lack of weight in the culture.
He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some this what people were comparing when him and Jay was beating on him.
Let's rewind for context. Jim Jones made waves with Dipset, yes. He had style, energy, and We Fly High was a certified banger. But when it comes to lyrical craftsmanship, he's never been in the same league as Nas. Not in the 90s, not in the 2000s, not today. Nas dropped Illmatic at 20 years old, an album that shifted the landscape of hip-hop permanently. Jim, he was still finding his footing while Nas was rewriting the rulebook. So for Jim to now say he's more viral than Nas is like a TikToker saying they're more influential than Michael Jackson because they did a dance that got 5 million views. It's giving delusional hunger. And here's where it really gets interesting, because this moment wasn't just about Nas. It opened the floodgates. 50 Cent stepped in and reminded the world of something even messier, Jim's long, complicated, and downright embarrassing history with Jay-Z. Now, if you've been following hip-hop for the last 20 years, you know Jim and Jay were once at opposite ends of the chessboard. Jim was the loud, brash street guy who proudly rejected Jay's corporate polish. He clowned Rock Nation. He dissed the Rock Nation brunch. He even put hands on Jay's longtime A&R in a Louis Vuitton store. This beef wasn't casual, it was deep-rooted.
If I told you I was in the Rock Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you? Talk to me. Let me know your sentiments. You heard?
But fast forward a few years, and suddenly the same Jim Jones is grinning like a kid at Christmas inside Rock Nation headquarters. What changed? Well, the game did. Jim needed a deal. The streets weren't paying like they used to. The industry was shifting, and Jay-Z, once the guy Jim mocked as soft and corporate, was now the most powerful man in music. So Jim folded. And 50 Cent? He never forgot that plot twist.
Did a little something for you in the studio. Then he had something to Old Boy.
This is Old Boy's already #1?
Yeah, it's popping.
All right.
Yeah, I listened to it and I was like, erase.
First of all, let's get right to it. There seems to be some drama. You and The Rock, Jay-Z, you try to diss. You did diss him. I diss nobody. You dissed him. I diss Michael Jordan. Oh man, we just there's no drama, man. No, we're gonna get to that. Shouts to Dame Dash, who started Rockefeller Records. If y'all don't know, he's responsible for Rockefeller getting off the floor that started in Harlem. You know what I'm talking about?
Do that. You already know that fit. How on there, brother?
Hold on, that's some this. See, middleman? Give me that. I'm on there. Jones.
Ha Capo.
Burning the streets up. Y'all know what it is, man. Purple Haze coming out. My dude Cam album coming out. Joel Santana, he's slated for September. You know what they call me, Geronimo Pratt. Dipset, the new Black Panther. Want no problems. I promise you that.
50 posted receipts like he was dropping classified files, clips of Jim acting starstruck in Jay's office, praising Rock Nation like it was his dream job. But it was only a few years earlier that Jim said Jay was out of touch, a suit, and a non-factor in the streets. So which is it, Jimmy? Are you a street general or a corporate intern? Because 50 made it clear you can't have it both ways, not in this game. This Rock Nation saga has layers. In the early 2000s, Cameron and Jim joined Rockefeller via Dame Dash, not Jay. There was instant friction. Jay never formally embraced them. He even tried to slide a Nas diss onto Cam's Oh Boy remix. But Cam and Jim deleted it, straight up erased Jay's verse like it was trash. From that point forward, Jim took every chance he could to undermine Jay-Z publicly. He painted him as a businessman, not a rapper, said he wasn't built for the streets, called him soft on multiple occasions.
Yeah, I stayed clean with the bottom kitted. I hopped out saggy jeans in my rock glisten. But I spent about 8 grand, mommy on stage, doing the rain dance.
And Jay? He barely acknowledged Jim. But when We Fly High started popping, Jay couldn't resist. He dropped a remix of the track, Brooklyn High. And the bars? They were surgical. He mimicked Jim's ad-libs, flow, even his beat just to mock him. It was a power move, one that showed Jay could embarrass you on your own track. And Jim, to his credit, fired back. He dropped his own diss, got louder, and kept the beef alive for years.
Yo, Brooklyn get paper, no big things. We check around, they all walking. It's over for you lames. Give me back your chain. It's over for you tanks.
Jim Jones, the rapper, is going down. Jim Jones. Jim Jones.
But here's where Jim slipped. In 2008, he went from rap beef to real-world violence, slapping Jay-Z's A&R, Lenny Santiago, in a Louis Vuitton store. That crossed the line. Jim got arrested, charged, and the beef officially went beyond music. And yet years later, he ended up back at Roc Nation, begging for a deal. That's the part that 50 Cent finds hilarious. After all that tough talk, all that disrespect, Jim folded the moment the money dried up. It wasn't about loyalty, it was about survival. So now we circle back to this Nas drama. Why is 50 so mad? Because it's not just about Jim throwing shade. It's about the principle. You don't tear down a legend for clout. You don't pretend to be street and then sell out quietly when it suits you. And you definitely don't act like you made Nas go viral when your own career has been running on fumes for years. Jim's entire brand was built on being the anti-Jay, the voice of Harlem, the street warrior who never bent the knee. But now, he's at the brunch, suit on, pinky ring polished.
What's up with that Jim Jones, man? Hip-hop, of course, you know, is a competitive sport. But on the other end of it, it's like certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like, Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family. I was saying last night, it's like the 8th guy on the bench just screaming at Jordan, like, you a bum. Like, you want to be like the 9th guy on the bench. I'm not even worried about you.
And Jay didn't even post a welcome message. No public acknowledgement. Just one blurry photo with Jim looking excited and Jay looking like he wanted to disappear. That was the power move of all power moves. Jay didn't need to flex. The moment said everything. You're here because I let you in. It was the coldest, most corporate diss in history, and Jim walked right into it. Now back to 50, because y'all know he wasn't gonna let that slide. He used this Nas moment to drag Jim's entire reputation through the mud. Every tweet, every old interview, every switch-up got exposed. 50 didn't even need to get loud. He just let the footage speak. It was strategic, surgical, savage, and most of all, deserved.
Longtime nemesis turned collaborator Fat Joe signed to Rockefeller, and now it looks like another former rival will be relying on Hov's team to steer his career, as Dip says Jim Jones is allegedly heading over to Roc Nation. Capo posted a picture of bottles of Douce and Ace of Spades next to a Roc Nation letterhead on IG and told fans to caption this.
And here's the real question. Where does Jim go from here? He's burned bridges, bent the knee, disrespected legends, and now he's being exposed by someone who knows how to ruin reputations for fun. The Nas diss didn't elevate Jim. It doomed him. Now, every time people talk about Jim Jones, they're not mentioning We Fly High. They're talking about how he fumbled respect for attention.
If anybody getting answer checks, it should be us. Cocaine, we did that. It's you.
So let this be a lesson to all rappers. Legacy matters. Authenticity matters. And when you come for a legend like Nas, you better come correct. Because if you don't, someone like 50 Cent will come for you with files, with footage, and with facts. Jim Jones made his career by standing against Jay-Z, and he ended up working under him. He dissed Nas and ended up getting roasted by the entire culture. And all of this? It could have been avoided if he'd just stayed quiet. But in chasing clout, he gave his critics everything they needed to bury him. Now the streets are watching, and the damage might already be done.